This is an issue that's very near and dear to my heart. And Richard, I've taken action on this issue. I'm not just a man of words on this issue. I served as the public policy chairman while my wife was actually pregnant with our second son, Preston. And I got to go home while we were fighting for language to protect life. Got to go home and see the ultrasounds of Preston, a little life in the womb who we were fighting to protect. And I believe that life begins at conception. I don't believe that there should be any exceptions, except only if the life of the mother is threatened. I believe that every life is valuable. I have to tell you just a quick story of a man that I met, and this is the reason why I don't support any exception for rape and incest. I met a man whose name is Serge Leclerc, and he's from Canada, and he was the son of a rapist. His mother was 14 years old. He became a godfather figure in Toronto. He has an amazing story as a man who lived a life of crime, who God got a hold of his heart and changed him. And now he is a man with a testimony that God can do amazing things with people if we let him. And if God grabs a hold of his heart, lets him get a hold of his heart, he is a changed man and now serves as an assemblyman in Canada after he was proven to have changed his life. And is an amazing story. I also believe that adoption, which my parents did a lot of foster care, adoption is that alternative, even in those situations. That's the best alternative. And so life is precious. It's a gift from God. I believe it is protected by the Constitution with life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And also would not support federal funding to go to fund abortions abroad and even right here in America. I carried the bill in the state Senate to defund Planned Parenthood. And the argument that they made was, well, the money doesn't go to directly fund abortions. Well, it indirectly goes because it funds their other operations, so money can go over to then fund abortions. And you know, I guess a message to Brad Ellsworth as well. You know, a lot of us here in Indiana heard about the Blue Dog Democrats that are pro-life. Well, after this health care bill, it is now proven that there aren't any pro-life Blue Dog Democrats because this bill changed all that. And instead of standing up for life, which I believe Congressman Ellsworth would have been a hero, especially right here in Indiana, if you'd have stood up to that health care bill and said, you know what, it's bad for Indiana, it's bad for America, I'm voting against it, and I'd be afraid to run against him at that point. But he folded to Nancy Pelosi and the leadership of the Democrat caucus, and that changes everything. So that's why it's important for us to elect one of us to the United States Senate to stand up for life.
I didn't know we had spy cam here today. I feel like it's in the ready room of the Reagan, and you know the other guys are looking in. Unfortunately, we're going to do one more question. What a great bunch of questions that I couldn't even get to all of them here. And it's a testimony. These are from you folks. It's a testimony to why Pelosi and that nut bunch, Mr. Ellsworth, John moves, Crown Point, Indiana. We'll see you because we don't have Blue Dog Democrats in Lake County. We just got Dog Democrats. But you guys, the people are just so intense and focused on us and educated, and that is what ticks them off. You hear that, Ellsworth? Because we're educated. And that's what's got Pelosi and Boxer and Reed and all those guys just nuts. And Rahm Emanuel, now he wants to run to Chicago and go ahead even further. Last question. There's so many we could get onto here, but here's a good one that I've heard a lot of people really ask this, and I've heard a couple of you guys answer this. A minute each on this. Term limits. You're in favor of it? What number of terms? And would you support legislation to sponsor this bill? Richard, we'll start with you and we'll finish mine.
Yes, I do support term limits. I believe it's a great defense against the entrenched political machine and a party machine that we're dealing with now. You know, in 2008, for the first time in congressional history, approval ratings were single digit, but yet over 97% of all incumbents were reelected. It's just how the system is. I can tell you from a guy looking to get in, the system is set up to keep those who are in, and those who are out, period. It's just how it is. I believe in term limits. I'll turn on myself for two, and quite frankly, my campaign gets a little nervous when I say I don't even want to go now, because I see it as a fight. There's a fight to be fought. And I should be so wore out after the 6 years that I don't want to go back, and we should hand the baton off. It was never meant to be a career. It was meant to be an honor to go and serve your neighbors. Congressmen should live under the same laws that we live under. We'll fight for that. Yes. And I got to hit the lobbying thing. You know, the big money's made after you leave Congress. That's where the money is made. Once you serve, you should not be allowed to work as a lobbyist or for a lobbying firm. I don't care whether it's a janitor in any way, shape, or form, you know, buying and selling our liberties. So those are the things I would work on. There is some legislation already there. Senator Zeman has introduced legislation. You know, we can look and work with things, but yes, term limits.
No more Kennedy.
Somebody said no more Kennedys. I think we just took care of that up in that election in Massachusetts. Broke that string, thanks to Scott Brown. I not only had 4 term limits, I lived it. People say, why did you leave the Senate after 2 terms in 1998? Because I pledged term limits and I honored term limits. And I will pledge and honor those again. I've been out for 12 years. I came back because I could not stand what was happening to this country, the country I love. Watch what was happening and not get back in the fight. And Democrats threw everything they could at me to not keep me out of the fight. I'm standing here, and one of them has announced he's not running.
In 1994, I faced a 6-term, 12-year incumbent that was reported to receive more labor union PAC money between 1984 and 1994 than any other sitting member of the United States House of Representatives. I was asked to sign a contract with America that said I would vote for 10 items, including a constitutional amendment that created term limits. I could not sign that contract because I believe that the United States Constitution should only be amended when there is a clear defect in the Constitution itself. I don't believe that Madison, Hamilton, and Washington created a defect when they allowed the American people to decide ultimately every 2 years in the House and every 6 years in the House who you wished to serve you. And so while it probably would have been a lot easier in the campaign to say I was for term limits against a 6-term incumbent, I said no. And they rewrote the contract, not just as a result of what I said, but as a result of what a lot of people said, and they said that we would support consideration of a term limits amendment, which I did support, and we ultimately voted on it. Today, and I apologize for going long, today we have the result of a self-term limited member of the United States Senate. And my question is to you, because he knows he is not accountable to you in November 2010, because he has made that decision, do you believe that Senator Evan Bayh is doing your will in the United States Senate? No. If Senator Bayh was accountable in the next election cycle, he would probably be much more open to what you had to say. But because he is not available to be elected in 2010, he's doing that which is imperative for his next job. Thank you.